Welcome back everyone to Formula 1 2021 and welcome to your practice report for the 2021 Hungarian Grand Prix. Now, if you're new to the practice report or have just forgotten what we do here, in today's video we'll be going through all of your times from today's FP1 and FP2 sessions, talking about which cars are looking quick, which ones are struggling just a little bit in our first two sessions of the weekend, all of the talking points, all of the dramas. So if you are new, feel free to subscribe, but without further ado, let's jump into your times from today's FP1 session. And leading the way in FP1 this morning, your championship leader, Max Verstappen, a time of 1:17.555, the best anyone could muster up in the morning session. Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes was second place, 0.061 of Max Verstappen, with his teammate Lewis Hamilton just 1/10 behind. FP1, the first of our two practice sessions. Never read into these times too much, it's more just a baseline for teams to get the cars working, and actually it's FP2 where times are a little bit more readable and show us a little bit more about qualifying and race pace. Carlos Sainz with 4th and Charles Leclerc 7th, both Ferraris making it into the top 10. It was Gasly in 5th, seems to have refound that bit of pace that we saw before Silverstone. Alonso on his 40th birthday was 6th, Perez 8th, Lando Norris in 9th, the lead McLaren, though both of them struggling quite a bit over today's two sessions, and Lance Stroll rounded out your top 10 in the lead Aston Martin. Esteban Ocon was 11th place in the morning session, 1.2 seconds off Verstappen's best time, but that did change in the afternoon. Alpine seemed to be a real outlier this weekend. Tsunoda, crikey, did Tsunoda have a very busy day for some great reasons, but also some not great reasons. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail when we get onto our talking points from today, but not a great session from the Japanese rookie. Sebastian Vettel, that awesome helmet design. If you've not gone to find out why he's running that this weekend, go and do so. Well worth a little read and a little look into. Ricciardo continues his struggle in 14th place. Russell and Latifi, Williams have got that bit of pace. They're confident they can do well this weekend. The two Haas cars of Mazepin and Schumacher were 17th and 19th, and Robert Kubica and Giovinazzi 18th and 20th rounded out your field. And in FP2, that session I always tell you is more important. You're going to get those lap times that are closer to qualifying. We also get to see the race run pace. We'll go through the race run order and race run predictions in a moment's time, but your times start off with Valtteri Bottas leading the way. A Mercedes 1-2, Verstappen in 3rd, but 5/10ths back to Alpine's Esteban Ocon. It really does look we're going to get those traditional three drivers fighting for pole position. However, both McLaren and Ferrari unable to set a real representative pace in FP2 this afternoon. Ocon's lap though, pretty awesome, in front of Sergio Perez who was 5th, Gasly 6th, Alonso once again making it into the top 10. A better showing from Aston Martin sees Vettel in 8th and Stroll in 10th, but with the McLarens including Norris in 9th, Ricciardo and both Ferraris not getting through to the top 10 and not showing their true pace, I think Aston will struggle on Saturday. And in your bottom half, it's those two Ferraris I just mentioned and Daniel Ricciardo in 11th, 12th and 13th place. Raikkonen was back in the car this afternoon, replacing Robert Kubica and put in a pretty cheeky time, 2.2 of Valtteri Bottas' best, in front of Russell, in front of Latifi. But Nicholas isn't too far off his teammates on a venue he's got through to Q2 on every time he's visited. Yes, it's once, but we'll still roll with it. Tsunoda, 3 laps on the board for the Japanese driver after a huge crash in FP1. Schumacher, Giovinazzi and Magnussen Crikey, which year are we in? Mazepin rounded out your field. Crikey, I miss K-Mag. But your incident report for today's session is very top heavy. FP1 had all of the storylines from today's session, with Alonso spinning at turn 4 very, very early on. Lucky not to hit that inside wall and get any serious damage. A slight bit of floor issues and damage, but nothing too crazy. For Fernando, we then saw Yuki Tsunoda turn it up a notch, a huge spin at turn 11, even more lucky than Fernando to not hit the wall. But Yuki didn't want to stop there. A few laps later at turn 4, where Alonso had his spin, Tsunoda losing the rear end, flying backwards into the barriers, red flag out, Tsunoda out of the session, and as you can see at the bottom, didn't return to practice until 6 minutes to go in FP2. Norris had a bit of a correction, a bit of a moment at turn 14 at the end of FP1. Charles Leclerc had a huge lockup down towards turn 1 very early on in FP2. But as far as practice sessions go, it was a very quiet day. But what we really want to know, what we really want to discover from practice is your predicted race order. I think it looks a little bit like this, but of course from today's sessions, with teams not sure whether it's going to rain on Saturday and Sunday, with teams trialling different tyres, some of them going for mediums, trialling to get through to Q2 on their qualifying runs and maybe even Q3 on the medium tyres in their qualifying runs. But it seems it's about a second between a soft tyre and a medium tyre this weekend. So data is all over the place. So this is my best guess based on races so far this year. And it looks like Mercedes just have the edge over Red Bull. Ferrari weren't super quick today, but just like McLaren, I don't think either of them showed their true potential. And third and fourth is where I think they will settle down to be. AlphaTauri seems to be back to their best, Gasly well and truly on it so far this weekend, and Alpine for sure are the biggest outliers today. They look super quick, Ocon all the way up in P4 in FP2 on pure pace as well, comfortably in front of his teammate and most of the midfield. Whether that will come to fruition in the race and quali, I'm not too sure. Aston, I think this circuit won't really suit their car. I think they will struggle. Williams seems to be in front of Alfa Romeo for a change, but it does indeed look like Haas, especially Nikita Mazepin, who was really struggling, are going to be that rear team of the weekend. But before we go, predictions time for the Hungarian Grand Prix. As always, yesterday in your preview, I asked for your predictions following this traditional grid of qualifying, pole position, front row and biggest shock. And in the race, your winner, the podium, the first DNF, the best overtake. I love that one. But the main one itself, who will be the driver of the day? And your two winners this time out. First up is Matt Foster. He's gone with a Verstappen pole position. Perez on the front row, really backing Red Bull to do well this weekend. And Carlos Sainz Jr. to be P3, your biggest shock in qualifying. And come race day, Matt has gone with Perez to claim his second victory of the season, Hamilton second and Ricciardo to be P3. Verstappen with an engine failure. He put in the comment, your first DNF, Ricciardo on Sainz, the best overtake, and Perez driver of the day. And Todd Brown, your second winner this time around, has gone with a Hamilton and Verstappen front row. That would be spicy. Bottas out in Q2, and in the race, Leclerc is victorious, Verstappen second, Norris is third. Poor Seb Vettel retires again 2 weekends in a row. He's actually gone the opposite with Matt, so saying Sainz will overtake Ricciardo for best overtake of the week and Sainz driver of the day. And that is it from me here in Hungary for your practice report. I'll be back tomorrow for qualifying. I hope to see you there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.